Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Talk2Rami. This is your host, Rami. Today is very interesting because I'm going to have a deep conversation with a great friend and the host of the podcast called The New Age Sage. And Lucas Salame is here in the studio. We're going to talk about a lot of great things about life and his journey, and how he came up with this podcast and what he's doing right now. Lucas, thank you.
Of course, happy to be here, man.
Man, thanks for being here. We were talking about doing this for kind of quite some time. I came to your podcast. I really enjoyed it. It was great. But how did you came up with the idea of the podcast? What inspired you to do that? Because I had so much fun. You know, we talk about a lot of stuff. You kind of got me out of my shell. I talk about a lot of stuff that I never talked before, and that was pretty good.
Yeah, man, the intention is I think a lot of us are suffering deeply, and we're ashamed about it. You can't speak to it. We're hiding it. I just want people to feel seen for it. You know, if you hear someone talking about their experiences with, trauma or PTSD or something, depression, you hear about it, and from another person's perspective, it makes you feel seen. It makes you feel like you're not crazy, you're not alone. So that's my intention, is through getting people to be vulnerable, it'll encourage people to feel seen about their own issues, to help themselves heal and not feel so stuck and ashamed of their own problems.
This inspiration comes from your past life or what you've been through?
Yeah, so I was meant to go down a traditional route. I went to an Ivy League school. I studied politics. Wow. I was supposed to go into finance, all that kind of stuff, and I, had my own issue. I went a little crazy. I had a mental health crazy issue, and I was addicted to drugs. And getting myself out of that, I knew I had to help people. I just couldn't do the mainstream stuff anymore. I knew that if I could help myself heal, I had to do it for others. There was no other way.
Basically, the way for you getting out of that, it was by helping others. Am I right?
No, I had to get out of it myself, like facing the fire. There's a whole process I did during that, but coming out of that, I knew that my path had to be to help others. I just couldn't not do that. I think once you truly suffer and you come out on the other end, it's like it's part of the deal. I feel like if you're gifted with the ability to feel healed, you have to heal others.
Yeah, because that healing process definitely is something that when you go through it, you learn something.
Yeah.
And then after you come out of it, you can help other people for what they are going through at the moment.
Yeah, with what you learned.
Exactly, what you learned. You can kind of transfer that. But what was about your past, if you don't mind asking? Why did you get into drug? Well, what happened?
Yeah, so I'm a super sensitive person. Very sensitive.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very sensitive.
In which way?
Every way. I can feel everyone's energy immediately.
Wow.
I feel my emotions very intensely. And I didn't know how to deal with it for a long time. I became like a macho man when I was 18 to 20. So I kind of hid that side of myself and put on a persona of like I'm.
Because you didn't want to talk about it. You pretend to be somebody else.
Yeah, I pretended to be a tough guy. Getting all the girls going to the gym. And being like a frat boy, like bravado. And I was living two lives. I was the tough guy and then the person who was in pain and very sensitive. I didn't know how to kind of be both and honor that side. So with enough time and me shaming that side, like suffering in silence, I went crazy. I started seeing things, hearing things. I was all over the place, getting panic attacks. I got suicidal. And I think that's what made me learn that with men who are sensitive and suffering, most of them don't even talk about it.
And why you became two personalities? Just the perception of others, like from you, you tried to be somebody else that people they kind of praise you and they say, yeah, Lucas is good. What did you do? What was the reason behind that?
Good question. I needed power. I grew up with a father who was very successful. And
your father?
Yeah, he's a genius, like, certified. So, and growing up with that pressure, I was in special ed classes till I was 16. I have a bunch of learning disabilities. So growing up with that pressure of like, I want to be like my dad, but I can't, and having that power, that stuck with me. So in once I got to college and became an older person, I started learning how to, do well in school and stuff like that. But I realized that for my self-worth, I needed to feel like I was in power. And I only could get in power if I had, girls liking me, if I was friends with the most popular people, if I was in the best frat. And to get there, I'm pretty emotionally intelligent. I can read people really well, so like immediately. So I know what you want from me. So I basically see, okay, this kind of man gets power in this kind of world. If he's stoic, if he's, kind of a dick, if he is a bit of an asshole. So I knew what persona to play, and it got me to where I wanted to go. It got me to a place where I had popularity. I did well in school. I had all the girls, but I felt broken. But I did it because I needed the validation.
Oh, you need the validation. I think, I'm sure you agree with this, that most of the people, even this age, today's, and it doesn't matter how old they are looking for validation. I know some friends, the things they do, they just do it to get the validation from the people around them. But for you, it was very interesting because you were basically fighting two battles. Like somebody's inside you says, no, you can be better, or, just come out of it, be who you are. And another part was, no, you got to prove to these people that you're worth it. How difficult was that overall to go through that? Like, it's very hard because you were hiding something, isn't it?
Yeah, it was hard until I realized that we live in an insane culture. And why I say that is that
culture, like your environment,
like the American culture, sure, environment's part of it, but most cultures reward insane behavior, right? We reward psychopathy. We reward, not being empathetic. We reward not being, emotional. We reward qualities aren't human. So I realized that who I wasn't working in the system I was trying to be in, in maybe like with people who aren't healthy. And I think most people in America right now are just broken in some ways. They need value.
What do you think is that?
Well, we live in a system that rewards the wrong things. We're not rewarding love, kindness. It sounds, stupid, but it's true. We reward, if you succeed in capitalism, I'm a capitalist, but if you succeed in the capitalist world, you have to be cutthroat, ruthless, work all the time.
That's the perception.
Yeah. I've seen it, for people who, you may be different, but for people a lot of people who make it in this kind of industry have to tap into, they can't be sensitive. They can't.
Like they have to just cut their emotions.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes. And when you kind of think that that's the only way to succeed, and some people are built like that, which is great, but some people aren't. So once I realized that, like, okay, who I am is I can't fit into this mold. I can't be, emotionless. So I have to create an environment where that side of me can succeed. Yeah.
But, you just said it, the environment and the people you hang around are very important. But I think sometimes in our lives, you get to the point that that enough is enough, and you're going to start talking about it.
Yeah.
But what you went through, and you're pretty young. You're pretty young. You got a hell of a time in front of you. And I think you experienced a lot of stuff that people in age 30, 40 haven't experienced it yet. You went through a lot. And, by going through that, you got a lot of experiences. That's what you're trying to share with people, I'm sure, that, hey, I went through this and I want to tell you what happened. And what is your message for the people that right now, they're living two lives? I know so many of them.
Yeah.
What is the best advice for them to just come out of it, like I said?
Yeah, you got to picture two paths. Because I think what I realized, thankfully, at a young age, is that what we choose to focus on and think about and do every day, we repeat forever. So the choices you make now, right now, will repeat over and over again. So why I say that is that there's two opportunities for your life. One path is you living in silence, you living in shame. Think about your life from now 20 years on, where you're still that way. Think about how you feel, like the way you feel right now with intense shame and like the two lives. That'll be even more intense 20 years. That's one path. The other path is you breaking free. The other path is you talking to people about how you feel. Maybe going to a therapist, maybe telling your wife or loved ones, hey, I'm dealing with this thing, talking to your friends about it. And if they don't like it, then fuck it. But look at your timeline. 20 years from now, if you're set free that way, how much better you feel, how much more seen you feel, how much more loved you feel. That's what I think about, is that think about that life in 20 years if you're still stuck in shame, still living two lives, versus if you break free now? How free would you feel? How loved would you feel? How amazing would you feel if you actually honored yourself? So that's step one. Just because I think step one is taking the step. And you only can take the step if you believe the step is worth taking.
Basically asking for help.
That's part of it. But you only can ask for help once you believe you need help, that you can benefit from help, right?
Who was the first person you asked for help? Like you said, I want to come out of this. I'm tired of it. I got to go talk to somebody.
I had no problem asking for help. I just I didn't believe it. I was stubborn. So I would ask people, hey, I need help with this. But I asked help from the wrong people. That's what fucked me up.
But you didn't believe that person can help you out?
I did, but I kind of thought I knew better than everyone. But also I got help from the wrong people. I got help from, a psychiatrist who over medicated me, which wasn't a good experience at all. For years I was addicted to pharmaceuticals, so that wasn't good.
Is that right? If the first thing, with all due respect for all the psychologists out there or therapists, the first thing they do is just gonna hook you up with medication.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's insane.
I never understood why they do that.
They're taught to do it. Like if you, in education for psychiatry, any doctors, you think about it this way. Doctors and psychiatrists, no hate to them, it's all love, but they're taught to prescribe, right? They match symptoms with medication. That's all they do. So they study, okay, he's sad. The only solution is an SSRI. He's anxious, medication. Or if you go to health, he has a gut issue, pill. Like, we're only taught to medicate. That's it. That's a system. We're not taught to heal. We're taught to medicate. We're taught to profit, big pharma. That's how it works.
Like, they diagnose you that, you are low on serotonin. Oh, let me give you this.
They don't even know that.
Yeah.
They don't even know that. It's not, there's no confirmed evidence that depression is due to a chemical imbalance. It doesn't exist. Really? It doesn't exist. It's an illusion. It doesn't exist.
Why do you think it's that?
Why do I think that it's not? They do that?
Yeah.
I mean, because for one, there's genuine
evidence. You went through it.
Yeah, there's genuine evidence that placebo does work. Most people who benefit from SSRIs, it's a placebo. They just think they're getting better, but it's not even doing anything. But why I got put on it, it's that people just think that they know best, that this is the way, and it has been the way for years to treat depression. It takes like 20, 30 years to create a new protocol. So we're just stuck in that right now. We're just saying, I have friends that call me, hey, I'm depressed. I'll tell them what to do. But of course, they go to a psychiatrist, and the next day they come with 5 pills. And that's a system we're in.
You got to that environment, and you got to the point, I'm sure you got to the point that it said, or you told yourself that now is the time to clean my circle, because a lot of stuff happened to you was because you were hanging around with the wrong crowd, I'm sure. Yeah. And how did you go to that process? Because a lot of people right now, they can't say no. They have a friend, they love him, or, but he's not a match, and they have a hard time to tell that person, hey, dude, listen, my path is different now. And you want to get in the bus, you want to get off the bus, but I can't do this anymore. When you face that, how did you solve that? How did you tell that person that you're going to get out of this bus?
I had to see why I was with them first. Like, why was I sticking around this area? That was step one. And it was because I enjoyed, drinking and doing drugs with them. And also I enjoyed the power it gave me to have them be in that circle. I liked the power dynamics in it. So once I saw that, I saw the ugly. I was like, oh, the only reason I'm with these people is for, getting drugs and feeling powerful. That's terrible. So, I took a drastic step. I left. I left. I'm from New York City. I just left. I came to Austin. I knew no one, but I knew I had to go.
That was the way you were cleansing?
I just left.
And you said, I just want to change my environment?
I had to leave, yeah. I just knew that I couldn't become the person I had to be if I stayed in the same place. I just couldn't.
Do you think it's a good way to change your environment and then go to a new environment and start fresh? Is that one way?
It worked for me. I think it's tough, man. I also think family's tough. I think if you come from like a hard family dynamic too, and you're
always your family, they were in New York.
Yeah, but it just I love my family, but they have issues in some ways. It's still a lot of pain. My mom died a year ago, so it's still tough for them. And being around that environment all the time, where I'm in a different place, just energetically, like your mind could be one place, but I believe in energy that if you're around people who are energetically not in a great place, it's not even just you can feel them. If you're in that environment, like you start feeling like them.
Do you believe that we transfer energy, positive or negative?
1,000%, man. You can feel when someone's a negative person and they walk in a room. You can feel it. you can feel the whole life get sucked out of the room.
I am with you because, I clean up my circle, be honest with you. And once a year, I clean up my circle because you go through this, you meet new people, they come into your circle, and then in a year, you go back and audit your circle again, and it says, okay, who am I going to eliminate? Or, because you understand that energy. And I'm a big believer, as you said, about the energy because some people are energy suckers. And, I have a severe allergy to negative people. It's not that they're bad people. It's just, I can't deal with it because, as you know, you just said it, life is too short. It's time that you can't buy. And if you want to spend your time with the people that are not adding value to your life and they suck the energy out of you, I think that doesn't worth it. And I'm sure you cut a lot of people out of your circle. Yeah. Because now I see you, I talk to you, I say, okay, this kid is just, you change your life like upside down, like dramatically. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. But going back to your point is that it's also energy the other way around in the sense that if you're a negative person and someone's negative, you won't notice the negativity. You'll feel like it's your person, right? I think once you become, we're like batteries, right? Once you become positive, or not batteries, it's a bad illusion, but it's like attraction. If you have positive energy and someone has negative energy, you can't resonate with them. You feel like this, you feel this charge. But when I was a fucked up negative person,
you would attract that.
I love it. I'd be that person. I wouldn't know it. I wouldn't know they're negative. And that's why I go back home now and I feel them. Whoa. I'm like, I just like this.
That's a great way to put it. I never thought like that.
We can't resonate. I think we create frequencies in our. It's studied. It's shown in science. Like certain emotions have frequencies, and the more positive ones have higher frequencies. The lower ones have lower frequencies. So if you're, attraction is you when you're right now. We're in a flow right now. We're talking well because we're similar frequency, right? If I walked in here like, oh, I don't like this at all. I'm being all negative and afraid.
You would feel it.
You feel it, and we can't resonate. We can't attract at the same place.
That's absolutely true, and I think this is the physics or energy is I totally believe that because sometimes when you see some people, immediately you see that this person is so negative, man, and whatever you say, whatever you do, you're not gonna change them because that energy sits within them, and you can't really do it. But do you think there is a way that a negative person can be positive?
I have to believe that. I have to live in a world where that's true. Or else we're all fucked. I did it, Imagine if no one negative can become positive. It's a fucked up world, all right? 'Cause I think we all have the possibility.
You were a negative person?
Hell yeah, horribly. I mean, I still am sometimes. I catch myself. I think we all are sometimes.
Oh, sometimes you go to that mood?
Yeah, I will. Yeah.
And how you get out of it? What makes you to get to that level, that like negative thoughts that come into your mind?
It's all trauma, man. It's basically, I see it as a gift. If my mind goes negative, I see it as a gift because I can see where a part of me is still stuck in the past. I can see, okay, I'm still hurting from this thing that happened to me when I was 3 or 4 or 7. I haven't gotten over it. I say thank you for that gift, so I can now clear it. And then I'll love that feeling. I'll sit with that feeling of why I'm negative. Let's say I ask a girl I like on a date, and she says no, and then my mind starts going in with maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not attractive, maybe I'm not nice. And I look at that. Why am I saying that? Rejection only is rejection because we reject ourselves and our thoughts. That's it.
That's true.
It's just the only way, right? So why am I rejecting myself? Okay, when I was a kid, I didn't feel loved by my mom. Oh, fuck, And then I'll go and I understand now. I lose the shame. It's okay. I love myself. It's all right. Let me try and think about, instead of how I'm wrong in so many ways, how I'm good in some ways. So it's kind of like it's fighting fire with love in your mind in a way. And, I think over time with enough repetition, it'll change.
And loving yourself.
Yeah.
Because everything, I think everything happens when you start loving yourself. And the moment that you raise your standards, everything changes. And now I'm listening to you. In one point in your life, you said, enough is enough. I'm going to raise my standard. I want to be a new person. I'm going to go make it happen. That's why you moved from New York. But some people, they can't get to that point. I know it. It's very hard. Lucas, it's very hard to just one day says, I want to leave this comfort zone because you're basically in your comfort zone. You were in New York with your friends and having fun, doing drugs, doing all that, drinking. You were kind of in comfort zone, and then living that, you got to have guts, man. It's just not easy.
You have to kind of recognize how the comfort zone is uncomfortable. It sounds counterintuitive, but again, zoom out. What does my life look like in 10 years if I stay in this comfort zone? That's fucking uncomfortable. Right now, it may be comfortable, right? Like, if I wake up on a Monday and I don't want to work today, I'm going to be on the couch, right? In that moment, it may seem fine. If I zoom out, I'm like, okay, what if I do this every Monday? What happens, you know? So it's when you're in that state where you want comfort, you have to zoom out. You have to look at your life down the line. You have to say, what does my life look like if I leave this comfort zone? And it actually is more comfortable, right? If it's working hard for money, and that's uncomfortable to work longer hours, it may suck now, but in 10 years, you have a nice house, you have a nice car, your kids will be happy. So it's like you kind of have to see how discomfort in the present moment can create comfort in the long run.
And this is a purpose of your podcast, to educate people?
And all this kind of stuff. Because I think that no one can heal us.
To what you went through?
Yeah, what I'm saying is that like no one can heal us. We can only heal ourselves, but we don't know how to. We have no fucking idea. We don't know what to do when our mind goes crazy or when we feel a certain way. So we need to be educated on how to do that. Just like we need to be educated on how to do taxes or to write or type or speak or have grammar. It's the same. We have to be educated on how to heal ourselves, on what to do when our mind goes crazy, and what to do if we feel ashamed or feel angry. Like we need to be educated on this stuff.
How we can do that?
Well, you learn.
By going through it?
That's the only way, but you need tools, right? You need tools for each thing. You need tools for each kind of way of suffering. Whether it be anger or feeling ashamed or, having negative thoughts.
What tools you used?
It depends on the thing that hurts. It's different for each thing.
Like changing your mind?
For like negative
Negative to positive. You were listening to books, you were talking to people, you had like friends to talk to, or...
Well, I spent the first 2 years of my career, I studied politics, right? So I was useless. I was like, what am I going to do with this? It's not going to help me in the long run. So I realized I had to educate myself. So every week for 2 years, I was okay, I want to learn about something, whether it be, let's say, generational trauma. I'd buy 7-8 books on it. I'd read it in a week, and I'd write a 20-page article on the topic every week for 2 years. So I educated myself. Through that education, now I know a lot of the tools because I educated myself. Yeah.
That's education is a big part, and the way I do it, of course I read books and everything is, but I listen to a lot of books while I'm driving or I'm reading it. That really, and I believe, as you said, you have to feed our mind. It's like body when you eat lunch, when you eat dinner. I think you have to feed your mind, and I always tell people that what you do on a daily basis to feed your mind. Listen, read, because emotions are the foundation of human existence. That's what I believe. Everybody say, no emotions, you're too emotional. Actually, it's good to be emotional.
Yeah.
I think it's good, don't you think?
I agree. And that's your point. You have to also be very careful what you feed your mind, right? I like this analogy. If you eat shitty food, the output of that shitty food is diarrhea. You can be in the toilet all day. Your mind's the same way. For example, if you watch a horror movie, you'll be on your bed at 11 p.m. thinking about a robber coming in. That's direct. That's output. Scary movie, scary thoughts. That's the output of the thing. So you have to be very careful and aware of what am I consuming, because my thoughts will reflect that. What you give your consciousness to will create your mind. So it's be very careful what you read, what you look at, who you talk to, because your thoughts will reflect that.
That's absolutely true, because I tested that many times. We all have a good day, bad day. Some bad days, when I'm thinking about bad stuff, believe it or bad shit is happening. I don't know what it is, but you attract more bad stuff.
Yeah.
But if you think positive, which is, if some people, they say positive thinking and bullshit, but being realistic and positive, that's different. Don't you agree? You have to be kind of realistic too.
Yeah, positive thinking is bullshit and not bullshit. It's not bullshit because I think it has an energetic effect. I think that if you think positive, you actually attract more positive people and positive situations. That's true too. But you can become delusional. in some ways, right? Realistic is the best way to be. I think objective is the best way to be. Is try and just react to what is and what is true. That's the key, I think. And positive thinking helps when you're being negative, because negativity. Again, if you think of, let's say, charges, negatives on this minus side all the way over here, positives here, neutrals here. If you're all the way over here, if you're super fucking negative, and you want to return to neutral, jam the positive. You'll get here, right? So if you're super negative, crank the positive in your mind, you become neutral. I think neutrality is a goal. I think positive thinking is useful when you're in a rut, when you're really fucking down, when you're being negative. Flooding your mind with positivity in that moment will bring you back to being able to be objective.
You know, with all this stuff you went through, and I'm listening to you, I think you created a system in your mind that how to live right now, how to deal with trauma, or how you deal with your past. Do you have any system? Like, I have some system, but I'm sure in your mind you have some system going on.
Yeah, I have thousands of systems.
Like, I can feel it. I can see that. You know,
I have an answer. I have an answer to any question or problem in one's life, because I've been through it, and I've tried to research it. Yeah.
Because as I listen to you, I feel like your experiences, you know, what you went through, and then how you came out of it, and where you at right now with what you're trying to do, that's the big achievement, man.
I appreciate it.
With your age, like, you're a young, intelligent man, but, you know, right now, a lot of people listening, a lot of people watching this, and they're going through some difficult things right now, and they can't talk to anybody about it. You know it, I know it, we all been there. What they should do. Have you ever been in this situation? You know the pain, but you can't talk about it?
Well, that's the thing. Not talking about it is your choice. Like, who says we can't talk about it? Yourself. You're
maybe it's so painful. Maybe they have shame or whatever.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is that, like, you convince yourself that you shouldn't talk about it. That's not true. Like, and it's because of shame. You're exactly right. We don't talk about it because we reject ourselves. We think that if I say this, then I'm not worthy of love. I'm not worthy of respect. So I'm going to keep it silent so I get the love and respect I think I deserve. But what we don't realize is that we can only get love for being who we are, truly. Like, to feel, when I was getting acceptance and recognition, when I was being a persona, I felt horrible. When I was being an actor and putting on a persona and people liked me, I didn't feel it. But now when I'm myself, when someone likes me, a girl likes me or a friend likes me, it's me. I feel it. I feel love because it's me. It's all of me. So what I'm saying is that, like, you removing that shame and talking about it and honoring your authenticity will lead to more love. Like, for people like that right now, imagine what it'd feel like if you found a woman or a husband or a wife or a friend, a best friend, who loved you for that piece you're hiding. How amazing that feel. If you felt love and no shame for that side of you're hiding, that feels better. I think why I emphasize the first point is that we have to feel motivated to change that habit. And the motivation to me in that instance comes from more love, more respect, more happiness will come from you unloading what's shameful, what you're hiding.
Basically, what you're telling me, you got to be who you are.
Yes, all of it. The ugly, the terrible, the sadistic.
But that's easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to do.
It's brutal. But you got to find people in your life who love you unconditionally. And if you can't, which is fucked up in this society, but try and find someone who can. There's someone maybe someone you haven't talked to lately, but someone who loves you for all of you, you can sit down and say your most fucked up thoughts to. That'll leave.
Because I think, I don't know you agree with this or not, but I think we have 3 lives. One is a public life. One is like a secret life. And, one is a private life. Private life is something that your girlfriend, your husband, your wife, your partner knows that. And public life, when you go back to what you said, is what you put on for other people to see it. And we all have a secret life, don't you agree? We all have secrets.
I don't.
You really don't have any secrets? No, basically, you have 2 lives.
Yeah, I realized that. I was like, I read it in a book by David Goggins. It changed my perspective. He was like...
He's crazy.
He said something like, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff, the way his perspective is, but I do agree with this one thing, that he said that we should all get to a point where we can have a billboard in the biggest city where we're from, or our town, that says the most fucked up things we've done in our life. If you can let that happen, you're free. You're free. Because
By acknowledging it?
You have no skeletons. Like if I can, for you, if you can say, the worst thing you've done on a billboard, that's your biggest shame gone, because it's out there. Who gives a fuck now? So why I say that is that
you make yourself free.
Yeah, that if no secrets, no skeletons. Like when I had so many secrets or shit I was hiding or things I didn't talk about or never told anyone, I was constantly like when that thought would come up, I'd feel like scared. I get that thought coming up that I was ashamed, no one knew about. So fuck, like I felt like my energy just dropped. But now those don't exist because I don't have secrets.
You go out there and you say, "This is who I am."
Yeah, and if someone asks me if I have, if I'm on like a second or third date and they ask me, "What's the worst thing you did to someone in the past?" I'll say it. Full honesty always.
And how about if they use that against you? What would
then
you
fuck
do?
them.
You leave them?
Fuck them, yeah, fuck them.
That means that they don't respect you, they don't love you for who you are?
They respect me, but they don't love me who I am, or they can't accept that I can change.
And do you expect that from the people you hang around with to be honest with you and just tell them who they are and they tell you they're fucked up?
I can see it. If someone's
really?
Yeah, I can see it. If someone's not being real, I can see it. I can feel it. Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good sensation, man. It's
through pain, man. Like I've been fucked over so many times in my life, and so you kind of learn. I'm not the kind of person when someone would fuck me over who would just be like, whatever. I'd pay attention to what they like, what they say, what they show me, and you kind of add all the data points together, and you can see, okay, this is what happens when someone's deceiving you. This is what it feels like when someone's not telling you the truth. You learn to recognize it to protect yourself.
And how you value time?
How do I value time?
Yeah.
I mean,
because that's the most precious things that we have, it. And
Yeah.
I think that you are very, not stingy with your time, but you calculate your time very well. Like
You have
who
to.
you spend time, what you do in a day. Is that right?
You have to. Because I realize that, how you live one day, if you perfect one day, you can perfect your life. If you figure out how to have a good day and you repeat it, it's a good life. So I learned that, thankfully, and I'm very careful about it. I kind of realize, okay, I have to do these things every day. And this takes a certain amount of time. I have to every day, no matter what it is. So
This is how you keep yourself motivated?
yeah, I just know, like it's a formula. I try to apply, math or science to it. Like I figured out a formula that makes me happy. I follow
And you
it.
stick with
I
it?
stick with it every day.
And every person, I'm sure they can come up with different formula.
Yeah, everyone's very different.
And what
Everyone's
is the
very different.
foundation of that formula? Because all the formula, it's got to have one foundation that we will share.
It sounds basic, probably the most basic answer I'll give this podcast, but I need exercise. Every day I have to exercise in some way.
Really?
I have to. That's the biggest piece. I'll notice, like, if I don't exercise, I'll feel a shift. I'll feel my brain isn't working as well. I feel a little more angry. I feel a little more depressed. I have to. I'll get pretty depressed if I don't work out.
What is your daily routine look like?
I wake up, immediately go in the sun, no phone. Go on like a 30-minute walk, get an ice bath for about 5 minutes. And then I will eat something and I'll work. I'll do my work for the day. And eat lunch. I'll work out after lunch. I'll do more work. And then once that's done, I have a routine. I think that our minds need rest. And we do a bad job of that today's day and age. That, again, because the system rewards constant hard work, which is great in some ways, but we're not machines. That it's happened to me. I'll be working all day for 5-6 days straight, and then I'll burn out and get sick and be anxious and shaking all over the place. So I have a routine at night to just kind of get my body relaxed. I'll stretch out, do some yoga poses, I'll foam roll. I'll do whatever I can just to get into my body and relax. So it's like go, and then the last chunk, the last like little bit, I'll do whatever I can to meditate, relax, and get into my body just to recharge for the next day.
And what is your decision-making process? This is very interesting because I was always going to ask you that because you're very particular.
Again, I keep going back to, I think one of the most useful things anyone listening to this can learn from what I'm saying is you have to zoom out. You can't look at things right now. I know it's good to be present, but you have, for every decision you make, you have to see how it can affect your life in the long run. Every single one. Because again, we repeat the same decisions over and over again. So the way I make decisions is that, like, if I keep making the same decision for a week, for a month, for a year, what will my life look like? If I say yes to things I shouldn't say yes to for 10 years, how much time did I lose? How much time did I lose in a month if I do this thing over and over again? So trying to looking at, like, what are the effects in the long run of this decision, even for, like, in the same day, right? For food, right? What I eat for lunch, we all deal with it. I don't ask what I eat for lunch. What can I eat that will make me feel a certain way so I don't crash? You know, it's kind of seeing how it affects you in the long run. Like, it's not right now. Making decisions for the right now is hedonistic. It's just you saying, I want this right now. You got to zoom out and say, how can this decision affect me in 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes? Yeah.
Basically, you kind of step into the future while you are in the present.
Yes, but not in an anxious way, just seeing, because it's true, man. Like, you know, how do you feel if you eat pizza versus a healthy lunch?
Yeah, it's a long haul. You're going to be fat and unhealthy, right?
You know, what's it like if you don't exercise for a year?
Yep.
These things, like, we are creatures of habit. We'll repeat the same shit over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, I agree with you. If you keep doing what you were doing, and you're gonna do what you were doing for the future, for the rest of your life, and the change is not gonna happen. Change happens when you change.
Yeah.
But that change is not easy either. For you, because I think it's reputation. You got the hang of that reputation. And for some of us, it's just not easy. I know what exactly you're telling me, because I had to work with myself to get out a lot of past stuff, but I'm using my past to fuel my future right now. Every time I step into a challenge or something that is really hard, I say, you remember that time you got out of that, you can get out of this. And it's not worse than dying. Just keep going, do your things, and get up. Yeah, we all have different routines and, the way we motivate ourselves. But I think at the end of the day, everything comes back to who you are. I think if we get to the point that we can be, as you said, I love what you said, to be honest and come out and say, this is who I am. This is what I have done. And this is where I'm going. This is how I'm going to change my life. But getting to that point, you got into a lot of pain and suffering.
It's the only way.
And you cannot avoid it.
No. And another thing with my podcast I try and emphasize is that who you are in front of me is because of the way you responded to adversity. Your identity is created by the way you respond to pain. Think about it. Like, who I am today is because I reacted to terrible situations in a particular way. So if pain makes us, then it's not the worst thing in the world. Like, our identity is literally created by pain. Can't avoid it. You can't only not avoid it, but it's the thing that makes you who you are.
Which is, the pain is necessary.
You need it. Like, you need it to become who you need to be.
No pain, no glory.
Like, what's character? Character is just the way you respond to adverse situations. That's your character. So who you are and the nature of yourself.
That's what you're saying, that the pain builds our character?
Yeah, for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
The pain is tougher, your character is tougher. Do you think you're tougher than 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago?
Oh, yeah, it gets more and more. Tough in different ways. Right? I used to think toughness was...
Because you said you were that tough macho guy.
Yeah, I think it's true. I think men have to have that side of them that can lift weights and be a killer. I do think men need that. But I realize that toughness, for example, if you're just pure stone, if you're brick, I can just push you over and you're a brick, right? If you have like a stone exterior, but you have rubber inside, it's better. You're flexible and you're hard in a way. So I realize that toughness isn't just like, toughness is also vulnerability. Vulnerability to me as a man is toughness. That to me is toughness. Is honoring who you are is toughness. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things. It's easy to lift weights. It's hard to be vulnerable. Being vulnerable is truly what's difficult. To me, that's toughness.
Yeah,
for men especially.
I agree with you I agree with that. It's very hard to say things that you don't want to say, because I don't know what it is, Lucas. I think this is, like you said, is a society. A lot of us, we're not coming out with our pain and suffering because we know we're going to be judged. And we know we're going to lose some people. And that's, I think, the biggest thing is this culture that we hold on to those pains and suffering. because we think that, I don't want to talk about it. Nobody cares. Have you heard that? It said, nobody cares about what I'm going to say. But I think that's wrong, don't you think? I'm sure somebody's is going to...
Even if nobody cares, who gives a fuck? I think what you should care about is that, and I hear what you're saying, but it's like, we have to place emphasis away from other people. If someone doesn't appreciate my vulnerability, fuck them. What actually matters is me being able to be vulnerable, to be honest, and to speak. Like, that's why I learned, like, the skill is actually just speaking. The skill is just saying what you're feeling. If someone reacts negatively, fuck them. Like, you did your part. You healed yourself. Like, you speaking about your shit, your shame, that's the healing. If they didn't like it, then they weren't for you. But in that process, you honor yourself, right? Like, if my dad often doesn't like to sit me next to people at dinner party because I'm too honest. I'll just say crazy shit. But for me, it's like, I've learned, I don't care how they perceive me. I just feel good if I was honest with myself. If I just spoke about what I want to speak about, because I'm losing the shame.
And
I have no shame.
How is your relationship with the family right now? Because you're a totally different person. How they take that?
They're good with it. They've learned to adjust. They learn
to adjust.
Yeah, because they can't have a relationship with me if they can't accept me. They just can't.
Do you have any regrets?
In life, yeah. I mean, I wish
we all have, right?
Yeah, I wish I wouldn't have hurt certain people. I think that's universal, but I think regret's tricky because yes, I wish I could have done things differently. I wish I couldn't have broken some hearts or fucked over certain friends or things like that in my past. But I don't have shame for it. I don't have shame.
But did you go back and tell them I'm sorry?
Some not. That's probably something I have to do.
Why did you do that?
Why did I say sorry? Because I had to say sorry, because they deserved it. And I couldn't forgive myself I didn't do that.
And that helped you to build a stronger relationship with them, or you are still in touch with them?
No, I'm not still. I'm very particular to my friends. Yeah, I don't have many friends from my past anymore.
Really?
No.
How about your new friends? Who is the perfect friend for you right now? If somebody wants to be your friend.
No small talk. Fuck small talk.
What do you mean by that?
Big talk only. I can't sit at a fucking lunch or a coffee talking about the weather or NBA. Fuck that shit. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
What I can
do, with you.
like, tell me about your life. Like, I want to hear about what's fucking you up right now. I want to hear about how your relationship's getting messy. I want to hear about what you're feeling. I want to hear about how you're sick in some way. I want to know it all. I want pure honesty, pure authenticity, because that way I know I can be real myself. Like, the mark of a true friend for me is if I tell them the most messed up thing in my life currently, and they're happy to hear it. Not in a fucked up way, but in the sense of like, they're like, I'm here for you. I got you. When a friend comes to me in shambles and misery, I got him. I'm not going to judge him. I'm not going to shame him. I got him. That's the kind of friendship I want. That no matter what, if all hell breaks loose, they got me. And no one judge me.
That's amazing. As as a friend, that if somebody's your friend, they come to you and you support them and you be there for them, that's very important. And I agree with you. Having 5 friends is better than having 50 friends. But 5 friends that are loyal and you have a good relationship. But what is your goal? What is the mission for the podcast? What is the ultimate goal?
I want to help as many people as humanly possible. Because I think that the most painful thing for me wasn't the drug addiction. It wasn't all the shit I did. It was feeling confused. It was being in so much pain and having no idea what to do about it.
And you believe that a lot of people out there, they are feeling the same.
Yes, I know it. Almost all the messages I get are people just confused. It's confusing. Like, it's one of the most confusing things ever to be broken, to be miserable, to be in pain, and have no idea why. Not only have no idea why, but have no idea how to change it. So you're 2 things. You're like, why am I feeling like shit? And I have no idea how to change it. That's one of the worst places to be. When I was in that spot, when I was, going insane, and I went to a doctor, and like, once I knew that pharmaceuticals were kind of bullshit, I went to a doctor, and they're like, oh, you just need these pills. You're broken. Your brain's broken. Take these pills. Do this neuroscan. I was like, what? I felt so confused and lost. I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And what changed was finally getting a mentor who was like, understood what I was going through, and was like, oh no, and told me this is what's happening, gave me clarity, and said, hey, do those things. That changed everything. Once I lost confusion, I could actually move forward. We can't move forward if we're confused. Think about it professionally working. If you're, fixing a problem, it won't get fixed if you're confused. The confusion is like you sitting there being like, I don't know what to do, right? Nothing changes. Once you clear the confusion and you have a strategy, you can move forward. It's the same for mental health. You need a strategy. You need to know steps to take. So to go back to the original point, my intention is to clear confusion. I want people to feel like they have a way out. To feel like they have, again, you need data points. You need to know, okay, when I'm feeling this, I have these 3 things to do. When I have this emotion, this thought, I know because Lucas said this or this guest said this, I know what to do in this moment. That's all I want. That's all I want.
It's going to be more kind of educational source, and I think you trying to help them to clear their mind, and because clarity is the key. I think the moment I like what you said about the business, and we are in it. If we face some challenges or we have to make a decision, first you have to clear about what is the outcome it's going to be or what you have to do. If you're not, then you're
just guessing.
You're just guessing.
Yeah.
And life,
that's what we're all doing with mental health. We're just guessing. Like we're feeling negative, we're sad, and the thing is, when we guess, what we end up most doing is just not thinking about it, is repressing it. Like let's say some problems coming up in our mind. What we guess to do is correct. We'll go, oh, I forget about it. I'll think about it later, and then we repress it, and then it goes to the back of our minds, and then in that space in the back of our minds, it grows in the dark. It becomes bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the next time it comes, it's stronger and stronger. So it's not working.
That's the way right now you face like challenges. That's how you make decisions right now. Do you analyze it a lot or no?
Yes. I mean, I have a highly analytical brain. I don't think it's a good way sometimes. I think we have to feel more than we think. I think thinking is a protective mechanism in most ways, but I think I do analyze things a lot. I wish I couldn't, but it's just
analyzing in which way? Like, you go like a nitty gritty and you go in there.
Yeah, every thought,
different scenarios.
Every thought I have, I analyze. Every single one, no matter what. If I have a thought, no matter what it is, if it's a bad one, I'll immediately start picking it apart. Why did this happen? Why did I think this way? Where did it come from? Why am I feeling this way? Why? Until I can find the truth. I think God is truth in some way. I think that objective reality is what we have to find out. So if I have some thought that isn't me, like, for example, if we started this podcast and you thought in your mind, I can't do this, I'm bad at this thing. Why? Why do you think that? It's not true. Why did your own mind tell you a lie? Why? That's what fascinates me, is figuring out my mind is this kind of like this invitation to say why. Why did I have this thought? Where the hell did this come from? And that's the part I find entertaining.
Do you think we control our mind or minds control us?
Both. You can't control your thoughts. You can control the next thought, right? Thoughts will appear in our mind. We can choose the next one we have, right? If I can sit here and say, I can leave this podcast and think, my mind can say, you did a bad job. I can't control that. I can control the next one I have, my reaction to it. That's all I can do.
But can you tell your mind that you are wrong?
Yes. That's what I'm saying. You can't control like the first thought, but you can control your reaction to it. That's what you can control. So you can control your mind in some way, and you can't in other ways. Like you can't control your thoughts. It's impossible.
It's very complex things that, because you hear that your mindset is everything. Yeah. You put your mind into something, you got to achieve impossibles, which is in certain level, I believe that, because I'm a big fan of, you have to believe it in order to see it rather than, oh, show it to me, then I believe it. And that's a crap. Anything that you believe in, you will see it. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking. And then the mindset, I think this is my personal thing, that you can control it in certain level and you can change the direction of your life and thinking if you get a hang of your thinking.
Yeah.
That's so powerful. Like if you get control of your thinking, everything will change.
Yeah, there's kind of like a period where you have to, I think it's repeated recentering. That kind of, if you catch your mind going off or catch yourself saying something crazy or delusional or negative, the skill is just coming back to a good side. You know what I'm saying? Like when you see your mind go certain, coming back to neutrality, coming back to presence, coming back to love. Like that's the art, I think, of having a healthy mind. That's mind control to me, is how fast can you return to presence, or can you return to a healthy state of mind? It's seeing the negative, come back, right? Let's say you're playing tennis. This is why sports are amazing. You hit a forehand, you miss, it's out. What pros do, I've seen interviews, is that the successful ones know that they cannot once that happens, they can't think about it too much. If they spend the next 3 points thinking, I missed that shot, I'm so bad, they lose a game. Yeah, you. But what I learned from them is that you hit the ball out, you miss a shot, you accept it, it's missed, go back. I'm right here right now. It missed. That's okay. I'm here. Forget about it. I'm right here. So it's in life too. Like something bad happens, it happened. How fast can I come back to right now?
Basically, let it go.
Let it go. But if the feelings are there, that part is tricky. The feelings are there, it's harder. You have to you can't shame them, but you also can't stick to them too long. But it's kind of like doing what you can to come back to right now.
Why do you think some people, they are so attached to their past then?
Because it's our feelings are stuck there. Our feelings are stuck there. Like the way trauma exists is that
Like little roots there, yeah?
it lives there. Like we even though we're right now we exist in the past. What's a trigger? A trigger is stuck energy from a past negative experience coming back to haunt you. That's what any trigger is. Like, if let's say you were your dad when you grew up called you names, and then you had someone in your office say something to you like, "Oh, like fatso,"
Yeah.
to me or something. Like most people would be like, "Whatever, haha." But if your dad called you that in that moment, all the same feelings from the past will come up, the same exact feeling. So that's what happens. Like it's hard to let go of our past when our past is stuck to our bodies. It's tough.
That's a great way to put it in. But I have one question, and I want to ask you. And you went through a lot. You hurt some people.
Yeah.
You said it. And how you trying to repair everything? Are you trying to repair everything, or you just forgave yourself and moving on?
You have to lose the shame. Like again, going back to frequencies. Frequency wise, shame is like the lowest one. It's like shame is the worst frequency.
You're not carrying any shame right now?
I don't know, but I'm very careful about losing much of it as I can. I'm very careful because I think you've been there, right?
Oh,
all
yeah.
of us when we're working at a laptop and this memory comes back that you're ashamed of, and then your whole body,
Yeah.
the whole frequency drops. You're shamed. It's the worst thing ever. It's so heavy, and it's the one emotion that'll take you off your center like that. So I'm very careful about losing things, and I think what people get wrong is that you can still accept that you've done messed up things, but to shame yourself, that's not necessary. And our bodies do it automatically, but it's not necessary. Actually, it'll cost us more in the long run to shame ourselves.
To shame yourself.
Yeah.
As soon as you free yourself, I think your life changes.
Especially with shame. It's a big thing to lose shame.
You can carry
different.
that for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And some people do that.
They go to the grave with it.